How am I? Because I've been trying to adjust my mic.
You shouldn't hear yourself, Brad.
I should hear myself.
Well, not over us, though.
No, I'm hearing echo. That's why I'm asking.
I don't hear any echo.
I'm not hearing it.
Welcome back, y'all.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Unorthodox Filmcast, where we make movie recommendations. We put movies into a made-up grouping of topics, and we discuss them. I'm one of your hosts, Bradford Clark, and with me is Joseph Quick. Say hi, Joe.
Hello, hello.
Last time we had on our show Ian Carroll, and we discussed with him movies dealing with mental health. Today, I'm sorry. My script is wrong. I have Ian's name on here twice. So I'm actually supposed to introduce our guest.
Yeah.
And our guest today is Melinda Bryce. Melinda, welcome.
Hey.
And today we're going to be talking about movies dealing with mental health. What I was tripping over was last week we had Ian Carroll on and we talked about road trip movies.
Yeah,
and
that was our last episode, yeah.
Randomly selected Into the Wild, which is the movie that we will be watching. We watched fresh today, and we will be discussing with Melinda. But first, hello, Melinda.
Hi.
So tell our listeners what you do in the film industry.
In the film industry, I'm primarily a screenwriter. I've been a career writer for most of my life. Moved into screenwriting about 8 years ago. Love it. Just love the medium. Love the collaboration of it. So I'm a screenwriter, but just started my own production company, Lithium Films, with Matt Santia.
Congratulations.
And am just forging my way into the wide world of producing.
Yeah, excellent. Well,
It's a bold and brave step.
Yeah. Into the wild.
very, very well.
Very happy.
Yeah, that's it. Well, thank you for joining us today. And you brought us this topic of movies dealing with mental health. So we're going to be talking about Into the Wild first, which I, after watching, feel like it's like a great a partner with the discussion of this episode. But before we get into talking about that movie, tell us a little bit about what brought you to that topic.
So we want to talk about my mental health. No, I actually think that, so many of us either struggle ourselves with some sort of, mental health issue, or we're touched by it in some way through family members or whatever, that it's an important topic, and whether it's like the primary topic of a film or that's something underlying that a character is dealing with, I think that we can all sort of resonate with that in some way. Yeah. So, and especially now, like with anxiety and depression running high, and
absolutely.
Everything,
or even the discovery and further analysis of like autism in the spectrum.
Yeah.
People, the conversation of how come this just appeared when that's the wrong way to look at it.
Yeah.
It's always been here.
Yeah.
Why are we only now understanding it?
Oh,
how many people have gone undiagnosed with particular, that's why they call it the spectrum, because there's varying levels. And I think when I was considering my list, that's a lot of what I was considering, was how do these movies approach this? And it was interesting that thinking about these movies this time with that lens, give me a different understanding, of even the representation that the movies had in the first time. Some of them are glaring, but some of them, like you said, are subtle. And it was really cool to sit and really think about this and how the movie used it as a tool to help us understand or move the story along.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And Into the Wild had that in spades. It really did.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't, I don't think the main focus of the movie, it was the story of that young man's life, but he was obviously struggling with some issues from that.
So there was some discussion online after I watched the film First, have you seen the movie before?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so this wasn't a first watch, and this wasn't a first watch for you.
No,
so this was a refresh for all of us. There's a lot of discussion online that he was possibly suffering from a heavy depression from his childhood, or even BPD. So he could have been manic at certain points going through this, and so I think there is a perspective if you wanted to look at it, whether the filmmaker was going forward or not. That some viewers obviously took that away from it. Directed by Sean Penn.
That's interesting. Yeah.
He is.
I've always enjoyed him as a director.
He is so good at exploring the internal emotions of his characters and the stories. So we're obviously talking about Into the Wild now. If you've not seen the movie, skip ahead about 20 minutes or so if you don't want to spoil it, because we will definitely spoil this pretty heavily. So Melinda, after this watch, what was your take on the film?
So it was interesting this time around watching this movie, having a little bit of age on it and a little bit of experience on it. I found myself thinking, God, that makes a lot of sense. like I started identifying with this sort of people think he's crazy because he's doing something out of the social norm. But
that was the point.
I started thinking about, that old, I think it's like an old fable, something about, having a fish climb a tree. I forget what that was kind of like. Okay.
You don't measure an elephant, a fish, and a monkey about how well they climb a tree.
Exactly. Yeah. So I thank you for remembering that.
Yeah, I've not heard that.
Yeah.
Steel trap, baby.
Yeah. So I think.
Don't ask me how I do it.
For me this time, he has always had this. Obviously, there was a trauma in his youth, in his childhood with his family, but he's got this wanderlust and he's got this sense of adventure. And yes, he's running away from something, and maybe he's running to something. But I'm starting to, as I'm a little bit older, a little bit wiser, been through a little bit more life, going, God, he's so right. He's so right. There's this one scene where he's looking. He out on the river, out in the open, when he meets up with other crazy vagabonds, he feels connected. He feels connected, right? Then he
feels connected with everyone he meets on the road.
And the world, the universe even. She talks about the universe being magical, but then he ends up in a city where he's dirty, and he's looking through the window, and he sees himself in the restaurant,
but
in a suit.
He feels out of place now.
He feels out of place.
But he never felt that when he was just in the unjudgment of nature.
And the wild. So for him, it was
asked that guy what time it was, and he tried to ignore him. I just want to know what time it is.
Which I always thought was interesting that you guys notice he wears a watch for most of the movie.
Yeah.
It's interesting that he's still bound to that one construct of civilization.
So I also read that prop was actually Chris's prop.
Wow.
That was the actual watch that was given to him.
Crazy.
Which is wild to me that it existed that long. Obviously, I couldn't tell. There was never a close-up. It was never an important prop. Like you said, you'd have to notice that it was there.
But,
so I don't know if it was a wind-up or a battery, and if it actually worked.
I mean, it was prevalent enough, but it wasn't shoved down your throat.
Well, there was never any close. You weren't supposed to pay attention to it as it wasn't like Chekhov's gun. The watch wasn't coming back in any sort of way. It was just like a wedding ring.
Yeah, but it was always there in the frame when it was shown. It was in the Fibonacci sequence.
I always thought it was interesting, when he would be barefoot in shorts and have this watch on. To me, I always try to look at a little bit of the symbolism, and it's okay, he's wild and he's free, but something has still bound him to civilization in one way, but also to family in one way, because we never know why he got that watch, where he got the watch. I don't believe.
No, that's what I mean. There's no story to the watch. It's just his watch.
Right. So I thought that was really, really interesting. But it was this time I really found myself going wow, he's totally fine in the right space.
Yeah.
In the right place, in the right space. He's not crazy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And why are those hippies that are naked at the hot springs crazy? Maybe they're much more peaceful than we are in the rat race, so it's it got me thinking a little bit differently in terms of mental health and what defines mental health. Like when a kid, is diagnosed with ADHD, they can't sit still in school. They have to be medicated. Well, maybe they just don't do well in that particular environment.
Right.
And maybe they do have ADHD, but maybe it doesn't matter.
It would serve them better to be on their feet, moving around, doing something.
There are changes being made in some of the public school systems. Like where I live, my daughter, they're like, we think she has ADHD. They put her in a class where there's spaces for her to go, like do something different to distract if she's overwhelmed or whatever, to get her mind off of it and come
some
back
people
to the task
need to fidget to focus, because if they don't fidget, then they're focusing on the fidget and not on the task at hand.
They're starting to build classrooms like that.
That's really good.
Which is refreshing.
But it makes me wonder, someone like Chris in Into the Wild, like he graduated with honors. He
invited to go to Harvard.
Right. But if he had stayed and let's say gone to Harvard or gotten a job, would he have ended up medicated and sedated and just pushed into a box?
Probably.
Probably.
He's entering the maze, because I don't think they really focused on what his course of study was. So I don't know what his projected career would have been. Did I miss that?
Law.
Was it law? So
he did what his father wanted him to do.
Okay, well, his father was an engineer at NASA, and his mother was the coordinator.
His father wanted him to be a lawyer, so the sister tells the story where he fulfilled his obligation of 4 years, graduated top of his class, and he basically wanted to be a great American writer. He wanted to be an author.
Sure.
So that was...
And that's the path he set on.
Went out on all these crazy adventures.
With the question that Melinda's asking, if he had stayed that course, where would he's entering into the maze. He's entering into that trap, and he would have been four-walled, regardless of what it was, an office of some kind, a cubicle of some kind, a building of some kind. And there was no greater joy than seeing, even when he was inches away from a grizzly bear and was already starting to starve, there was still a look in his eyes of, holy shit, this is happening to me. This is something that nobody else is ever going to experience. And that message that they had him put on the van, talking about, I've lived my best life, I'm happy. That was demonstrated thoroughly, on the journey that we took. So we had it on the road trip list. That's why we were watching it. As far as the road trip elements of it, obviously it fit. He's moving across the country, but one of the key things in a plot of a road trip movie is the single serving cast members that you end up coming across. Let's talk about that a little bit.
Because Emile Hirsch was just amazing at portraying Chris.
So. 100%. We'll
Alexander Supertramp.
We'll definitely cover that along the way.
Supertramp.
Vince Vaughn.
That was probably my favorite Vince Vaughn character out of any character.
Did
so
either
close
of you
to Swingers,
recognize Zach Galifianakis in that?
Yeah. He was the guy who talks about gutting the deer and how to save the meat. That was
yes. And check this out.
Creeper.
He had no script, so they had him improvise all of that.
What? That's
so even the line about I wish you'd stop getting in the way when I'm trying to get pussy.
Oh my god, that was so good.
Not the whole script, specifically when he was teaching him about the hunting when they were in the back.
Because he actually knows how to do all that.
He must, but it wasn't in the script. In the script, it was Kevin describes blah blah blah. So they had him.
They had him just improvise.
It was a very montagey movie. Like I've never seen as many dissolves in a movie as I've seen in this movie, but. It was
all used artfully though. The cinematography.
I thought I love that Kathleen Keener came back. I was almost sad when her section was so small in the RV
at the slabs,
and then when they came back to the slabs. But what I noticed was, and anything based on a true story has to be story made. So there are things that are make believe.
I was just gonna say that,
but dramatized.
I still believe that an impact that an individual can make in life as you move through is a reality. So the way that they showed him changing other people's lives as he was connecting with them and them changing his life each time, like there was an exchange of wisdom between each interaction that he had throughout the way. And I found that incredibly fascinating.
He wrote each of them too. So that's how he knew he met those people.
Yeah, that's fascinating. And there's just a magnetism about that individual, about Chris, where I think as human species, we gravitate toward those free spirits. We gravitate toward people who have an openness for adventure, who buck the norm, but then we struggle to do that ourselves a lot, to step outside the box. We get like in our comfort zone, and we get in our, in our own heads, and we get in our own ways. And, and I think people who take risks, they just have a different spirit, and we might call them crazy, but maybe they're happier. You know what I mean?
No, I have a friend, Tim Harrison. Shout out if you're listening. He's a toy maker. Actually, he lives somewhere out west. But he was a truck driver for a while, and then he just decided, and he went on a pilgrimage for like a year and a half, 2 years, just from like West Virginia across, just till he found where he wanted to be. And just he invited me to come with him for a couple months.
Something
that I just got my first job in radio, and it was one of those like, which life changing event do I pick? And I picked the safe one. But
but I mean, there's a risk to that too. I mean, being in entertainment is a risk.
And an adventure on its own. I think it's a cultural thing that it explores in this movie, because he finishes college, he's gone through the life, and while his life is singular to him, we each have our own struggles, and in youth you definitely have those. This is what I'm told, this is what I want, and the pressure of making one singular choice based on absolutely really no information but a desire to then chase and follow, and the first 10% of your life is over, and you've got so much ahead of you, but you're making these big decisions. But in our culture, we don't take that gap year or that holiday or any of that. And that's
even
really
the Amish have Rumspringa.
Really,
come on.
It was only 2 years, and I don't think there was anything wrong with his objection, with his objective. I'm sorry, his goal, because he kept telling people, when I come back. Now there are people that theorize that he was just slowly killing himself, that it was an intentional suicide of sorts, like not specifically but he was just doing it.
In the movie, they at least portrayed he tried to come back, but the river was incrossable.
Right.
So I think that
then the weather became inclement again, and
and then the potato berries or whatever they were.
Correct.
The false
potato root.
the
sweet wild potato root.
But I think that when we look at it from our, I don't want to use brainwash, but our cultivated mindset of what we're told, and there's, if you go back to the pioneering days, people did what he did all the time.
Systemic norms of society. Indoctrination.
There was a time where the vagabonds would just travel, and you didn't need your social security number. You could get a job if you needed it, and you lived. I mean, you go back centuries. We lived off of nature. Like what he's doing, it was no different than. But he just wasn't.
He didn't have a tribe.
He wasn't prepared for it.
There was no help.
He wasn't raised in a village where you. So he committed to learning, and when you do that, you're going to fail sometimes, and sometimes failure is fatal.
But even that, if he had one more person with him, he wouldn't have died.
Agreed.
Because it's just he didn't have this. They could have started a huge fire to attract attention, but he didn't have the strength.
He was found 2 weeks. 2 weeks, it said, after that's what the end calls. 2 weeks after the moose hunters game.
Quite literally, he had somebody there to help him with that moose before the flies got to it.
Or noticed the moose, or noticed because he obviously ate the berries and then had a hallucinogenic pass out, and that gave his body time to digest. Right. Had I seen you pass out like that after eating, I'd have been like, "Whoa, buddy, let's get you to puke."
You would have both been looking at the book, and one of us would have turned the page and go, "Wait, these are similar, and one of them's poisonous." Is that? Because he was deliriously hungry. He barely.
But that comes to the thesis of the whole thing is happiness is only real when it's shared.
Yes.
And you saw that he was so happy when not just when he was on his own, because like they didn't even give him a dog or anything like that. There was literally nothing for him to have. It was his single serving friends.
He took nothing. Yeah.
But he said when he was with
he really tied her dirt and out, man. He
with when he was with Mr. Franz, the old man.
My God.
He said to Mr. Franz, he said something to the effect of, you'll discover that real happiness has nothing to do with human connection. He felt that.
Yeah.
Chris, he felt that.
When he said it, yeah.
When he said it, he felt it. Then later, when he was sitting out by the bus, I think he was reciting in his mind some reading from some book.
Because he had memorized all the greats.
But it had something to do with, and then a mate to share it with. And is the thing. So and then you could kind of see the expression on his face. And what I found interesting filmmaking wise is they broke the fourth wall multiple times.
Yes.
Which I thought was
glad you brought
really
that up.
interesting. Kind of shocking.
Like when he was eating the apple.
The
was
apple.
The first one.
And he looks. Yeah. And so I don't know if that was spontaneous or.
If I felt that whole scene because I'm watching and I'm like, did they have him eat a bunch of apples and was this scripted or did they allow him to riff
Neil
on
Hirsch
it?
was riffing,
and then that was right at the end of the take. And
a lot of this, I think a lot of this was, as we say to each other all the time, like. The last step of the movie is on the editing room floor. Right. You know what I mean? Like really finding the real bones of what we set out to create and what it's become.
Right.
So
I thought it was, and I knew the story going in.
Right.
I thought it was interesting that they took the narrative perspective of the sister. So the sister is narrating this.
I thought that was really good because if he narrated, it would have been an unreliable narrator because we're trying to tell a true story. So coming from the sister, you already know that this is a secondhand story. So we're getting that filter of like, okay, maybe this all isn't because it's speculation. I wonder what he's doing, but this is what I know of him from growing up with him.
And
so
from
there's
what he
a first
wrote
person
on his journey.
Correct.
And that's something that as a writer of, 2 decades, when you sit down to write anything, whether it be a book or a script or whatever, is looking at the very first thing, what is my narrative voice? Because it will determine what you can show and what you can convey in the writing. So if it had been his narrative voice, would we have really gotten to know what the parents were doing and the sister? Were they looking for him? How were they feeling? No, not really. No, if you were really using his narrative voice, no. And it would have become a very heady film.
Yes.
And so I do like that. It did. At first, I was a little thrown by, my husband was kind of coming in and out of the room, eventually sat down and watched the rest of it. But he was confused at first because he's like, wait, I don't get it. Is he going to Alaska and then going back to the flats? No. It's flashing back which forth. I think was really a wise choice because once he gets to the wild, was it going to just be all him walking around and shooting things
instead of the inserts of this majestic beauty in between?
And I think it was nice that they started at the beginning of the end from the start of the film with his arrival to Alaska and kind of bookended in that way to give us the double narrative. So we have the A story and the B story because he was how many 100 years. How many weeks was he in? Do you remember what in Alaska?
Was it
9 or 10 weeks?
I thought it was 9. Yeah.
So as a third act, that would be it would.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it couldn't work, but narratively speaking, to be able to break away from the tension of that and then filter because so for example, there were times where I'm watching and you spend some time with him in Alaska, then you spend some time with him in the past, and I was like, man, we haven't heard from Kareen in a while, and not moments later does she pipe in like just the perfect time to then meld it. So it was very excellently put together.
And as a writer,
amazing.
I've written one script that had a narrative voice. And I forget what that's called, but whatever, it had a narrator. And I found it very complicated to figure out how much narration to use and when to use it because it can take you out of the story. So that's a feat to accomplish.
There are a lot of adaptations that struggle from that. I would say, for example, the Hunger Games movie series struggles because the books are so much inside of her head, and having a voiceover we learned from Blade Runner is not. It's not. It doesn't help. So as a reader of the books and then the watcher of the movie, the differences that were most apparent between the two was the fact that we couldn't live inside her head. And you just can't do that in the film medium. And with Into the Wild, I liked that they use his sister, and I agree with everything you were saying.
But
on
then
top of that,
his writing going over with no one reading.
If he read that would have pulled me out of it.
Yes.
But just having that going across the screen was
same page. I was waiting for you to be done to say this exact thing.
Another level to it because I don't know. It just
that was smart.
It was done.
It didn't pull you away from, because the entire time you were looking at him through a lens. You were never a part of him. He was never a friend of yours. You were always looking at him.
Right. So it felt like you were watching the moment that inspired that line that you're reading, kind of the way it was very artfully done.
I did think that in the cinematography and the long, slow moments in Alaska, it did give you that sense of uneasiness of like, is something going to happen? Like, it was lonely.
Yeah,
and it made me feel a little bit uncomfortable.
Was totally different.
While also being beautiful. Because I was like, this is shot as so beautiful as a National Geographic movie, but looking at this flower is giving me loneliness feelings as opposed to look at this beautiful flower. Like every time you were in the bus with him and then out of the bus and you saw the giant scope of what is surrounding him, and I think it varied at different points in the movie, because at the beginning I was like, ooh, wow, but then as time went on and he became more isolated to us and we were realizing the story is coming to an end, and I knew ahead of time the end of the movie. So even the first time I don't think I knew, but regardless, you get to that point where you start to feel as he's feeling. Yeah. And the use of the visuals was perfect. It was being able to take a serene,
so well,
gorgeous Alaskan landscape and make you confused between beauty and loss.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think what's super interesting too is that they didn't spend very much time on his final desperation. It was minutes of the film.
Yes.
And so what I find just fascinating is if you are making that connection with mental illness with this film, it was much more joyful than it was desperate or depressed or lonely. Agreed. It was like this feeling to the point where I'm like, yeah, we should all do it. We should all just get rid of all our stuff and go to Alaska.
Like he said when they were playing poker, I just want to see all of you go for broke. You want to play?
Yeah.
No,
nope, I don't.
You guys
I want to see you guys go for broke. That was funny. That was a good moment. But so this movie and mental illness is kind of a paradox for me, because there are some films that are so clearly about the destructive nature of mental illness, like Black Swan or, something like that, where you're like, whoa, that trauma has formed her life and she is unhealthy and she's crazy and she's, like killing herself,
But I think in Into the Wild, it's approached more of a secondary thing. And I think also secondary to maybe possibly our future discussion with the list, mental illness, in the name illness, are not all permanent. You can get a cold. That's an illness. And it's going to last 24, 36 hours and it can pass on. You can have temporary mental illness and suffer from temporary depression, temporary anxiety. There are things that you can suffer from that are put upon you by your surroundings that aren't necessarily embedded into you permanently.
Right. But I guess this film, I think, forces the question, is it mental illness to want to feel free?
Right.
Right.
So
society.
Right.
To quote Vince Vaughn, in a sick society.
Yes.
Society.
Yes. It made me think about it, though.
I love the juxtaposition of those two characters. I thought it was a pivotal thing to show.
There wasn't one character that wasn't juxtaposed to him. That was brilliant.
Yeah, it was, but that relationship specifically, because here's somebody who is going equally as against the grain,
right,
in a totally different way,
right,
because he was doing whatever he could. Everything was illegal, just cash. He was like, I'm going to jail again. I'll be out. Like, his lawyer's already been called. Yeah, like, see you next season.
Right, where he's bucking the system in a completely way that, in a way that our society doesn't look at as mentally ill.
Right. Yeah, just
illegal.
criminal. just
but not
he's
mentally
just a
ill.
criminal.
He's
Just selling cable boxes.
But a guy who wants to live off the land and be free from money is looked at as mentally unstable.
Kayak a river without a permit.
And because 12 years to be able to
what
go on a river?
What
like
a
that
good
was
scene.
a beautifully done.
What he said, what was it like 2000? So 2012, 2002, 2002, 2003. I was like, get out of here.
Yeah,
that's
from
not
1990.
That's not even realistic. I don't understand.
So, for anyone listening, there's this scene where he goes into a ranger office and he wants to take a kayak out on the
ranger was
the river. And what river was that? What river is that?
Oh my God.
Colorado River.
The Colorado River.
Because he goes straight through the Grand Canyon.
He goes straight to Mexico. So he goes into this ranger's office and the ranger is saying he needs a permit and he needs training, and the waiting list to get a boat onto the Colorado River was 12 years long.
Yeah, 12 years long.
Or you could pay $2,000 to
join
go
a group
with an experienced guide.
If they have room.
But can we look at that?
People cancel all the time or just die off the list.
That scene alone is a great one to analyze.
Right, because I think you look at that and you step back, and as a viewer of that scene, you go, that's fucking ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like, it's nature. It's there. Like,
if you ever were not on his side, that scene puts you on his side. He's like, fuck yeah, kayak the river.
And can I say, like, human beings are the only species that pay to live on this planet.
Yeah.
that do things that are not just for their survival.
Yeah.
Like
we sell each other bottled water.
Right. It's a joke. So like society. So like I found myself thinking that he was the most mentally stable person in the film. You know, like I started thinking, wow, that all makes sense. And if he had come back and not died from eating that potato root, he would have been probably an author. He would have been, you know what I mean? Like he would have been
the next Jack Kerouac.
Right.
Yeah,
so like
definitely.
And like you said, a long time ago, people did that. People went west. You know, that was the whole thing. You go west to make a better life for yourself, to free yourself from the shackles of,
not even that, but when he came into the city, and for a moment, I don't know what his motivation was. I mean, for me, it was, getting through Middle America is you're clearly going to be in nature because there's very little populace as far as how dense a city is. But then you get out west like that, it gets less dense, and you land into the city. So, was it a matter of like, I need to fit in here or whatever, but he went and asked for his ID back. And that is just another example. Like we put rules on everything. And while like, I get it. I get why there are rules and regulations and so forth. In this discussion, let's just take a thought about it. We talked earlier, he looked like a fish out of water, right? Because he was filthy and he had his rucksack and all this other stuff. But it's all just a construct. Right. All of it is just imaginary.
Right.
Yeah.
And he was happy but I mean, even after that, post that, he was like, all right, this isn't for me. I'm going to keep going. Then he gets the shit beat out of him, hopping onto another train.
Yeah.
And it's liability. It's a liability.
I'm tired of you freeloaders and your liability. Yeah.
Because if you get hurt as they're whooping,
his ass,
I was fine till you hurt me, motherfucker.
Right.
And, I get it because like he's a one-off. You don't want 30, 40 people on your train. Like that's where the importance of rules and regulations comes in. The same thing with the river. You got pollution and blah, 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 blah. And that's because of one or two bad eggs. As a society, I think the discussion here is we want to be free. Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, I definitely understand rules. I'm a rules girl myself. Like, I don't like not following the rules. And I get why they're there. Like, if everybody was jumping in a kayak and getting in the Colorado River, it would put all of our rescue workers at risk because people would be drowning. And
or the beauty of the land as we start to, because we're already digging and destroying in residents anyways.
But I have a feeling that the number of people that would actually have the guts to take a kayak and jump in the river is pretty small.
Yeah.
So there is that. But, it's funny because the parts of this movie that resonated with me were like when they were like barefoot. When he was like, especially with a group, because I'm not somebody who wants to be all alone. Like I'm not. But like when they're in a group and they're barefooted and they're and they're campers and they're out in nature, surrounded by mountains and sand and and guitar music and fire.
I think the whole concept of the Slab City is we should explore that more. I've always had friends who've been like, oh, we should combine and blah, blah, blah. And the discussion comes up in small in small conversations. But like, I think there's a part of us as creatures that desire that just small. We live in subdivisions. That's a small community, but you don't know your neighbors. Slab City, everyone knew everyone, and they functioned by buying from each other, making for each other, entertaining each other. It was all a self-contained society, the way that it was a million years ago.
Tribal, sort of.
Yeah, and they're all nomadic. They all go off to their little corners of the world
the same
and
problems.
then come back.
You got to see the two RVers, the what do they call themselves, the rubber men.
Yeah.
They were having a relationship issue, and he was able to help in his own way with that. So, we're still, nothing is perfect even out in the wild, but I don't know.
There is this sense of freedom. I mean, Jason and I, my husband and I finally finished renovating our 63 tin can camper.
Oh, yeah.
And we took it camping over to Lake Huron, and this for our 28th anniversary. Nice. So we took it over camping, and it was interesting because there's this instant sense of camaraderie with the other campers, as long as they're not dipshits. There were a few dipshits, but like for the most part, it was like, hey, how you doing? Oh, did you forget you didn't bring a chair? Like you want to use my chair? Like, and we leave our shit out. You know what I mean? And like, we don't expect anyone to steal it. Yeah. There's like this instant sort of sense of we're all here in nature together, and there's trust, and comfort. Like we invited strangers. They were walking by. Oh, I want to renovate a camper. Oh, you want to come in and see? Come into my little house. Strange person that I don't know. And we're showering in like the community shower. And like there's this like guard that comes down. I think sometimes when you're there's a vulnerability about camping and living that lifestyle, because no matter how safe you think you are, a tent, one, is zero protection. And
put that little lock on it if you want. I got a knife right here.
Does, and then a camper isn't even that much more, So I think it like you let your guard down, you trust people. Jason and I, when I graduated from college, we took 2.5 months and we traveled across Canada with a tent and our mountain bikes. And we traveled across Canada, down the West Coast, and back through all the national parks.
See, 2 months is reasonable.
Sweet.
I think
that extra 2 weeks. I think
had Chris like limited himself to like maybe a year of exploration, or set himself a different goal.
My buddy Tim asked me to go for like a month or two instead of like,
Well, I mean, like
he was like 9.
Why
9
Alaska?
months. I was like,
right? Like there are parts of Canada that are thousands of miles more south.
He decided on Alaska because he wanted to be the farthest from people. He wanted to
he wanted a challenge. He wanted the society.
I can't stop.
He wanted to challenge himself. When we were traveling, we weren't out to like push ourselves, push our boundaries. We weren't doing calisthenics so we could, make sure that we could, traverse the river. We weren't doing that.
On a mission.
But there is still a sense of vulnerability and community that, like, when we stayed at hostels, sometimes you're literally open, locks on those doors, and you're with people from all over the world, and it kind of restores your sense of belief in humanity, because you have no choice but to trust other people, and I think by and far we live in a world that's cultivated mistrust and skepticism, and especially with social media the way it is now. And I think by far people are trustworthy more than they're not. I do. I think most people are good intended. I don't. I agree. My instinct is to trust somebody. How much trust do you have to drive a vehicle that the person on the other side isn't going to just swerve and smash into your car?
Things people take for granted.
I discuss that when I'm talking about rules and regulations. I use driving as an example. Without rules and regulations, that trust wouldn't be there, because essentially you're driving on a let's talk about a 3 or 4 lane highway. Essentially, you're driving in little canals that are imaginary, because we've agreed upon this status of like, this is just what we do. The lines represent
white little dashy lines mean that you have to tell me you're moving over them, or
without that
collide into you.
Here, and anyone
who where that character came from or who he is.
anyone who lives...
It was the lane leprechaun.
Anyone who lives in an area where there's snow can attest to the fact that once those lines are gone, chaos ensues.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Because
and also,
you know where the lanes are.
Yeah.
You drive them every day. But all of a sudden, there's a dusting of snow and it's absolute chaos.
Yeah, I grew up north. I know that feeling.
Look out for the lane leprechaun.
If you've ever driven in India, if you've seen driving in India,
I've seen
videos,
driving.
yeah.
I've never personally done it, but I have seen.
But
no organization. They just do whatever in any direction.
Any direction is chaos.
Go.
But you know, I think. But there is this, like, I'm a very trusting person. So I think for me, when someone does violate that trust, it can be a little bit painful, you know?
Sure.
But I tend to be optimistic, and I tend to think most people are good intended. But, you know, I'm not naive. That might have been the one character that was missing from this film. I mean, you know, we had the police officer pull him and take him down. We had the park ranger. These are all systemic to society. But there was nobody that, like, he met for just a brief moment that took some of his shit. True.
And maybe it never happened to him. Don't fabricate it. But if we're talking about the different things and the things that can happen to you, that was the one lesson that he didn't come across.
Where his loss was always from nature. Like when his car, he parked it and it flooded, the flash flooded.
Right,
out.
that's true. Or, you know, what was interesting is when he was out in nature, when he was camping, when he was on the flats, or what was it called?
The slabs.
When he was on the slabs, his things were out in the open. When he was at the shelter was the only time he locked up his things.
Yep.
And I thought that was an interesting juxtaposition there.
Yep.
And it seems like the only people who hurt him were the people who were rule enforcing, suit and tie people, uniform people, you know,
which I think was the core thesis. So I get why the other is missing. Yeah. It's just an observation.
It seems unlikely. It would have been interesting to see him get some of his things stolen and how he would react to it, because he was such a non-object person. Like
he burnt his things money because the car was gone, so I don't need gas.
Yeah, he was very chill. His mode of resolution was to always be chill and approach it diplomatically or just as a
even the old man gave him the box of supplies. And he's like, oh, no, you don't have to. He's like, you need it more than I do. Like,
the one guy gave him his boots.
Oh, yeah.
And
said, call me when you come out.
Yeah. And so I think that's what I think. I think this movie celebrated the goodness in humanity, and it celebrated differences. Like, it didn't condemn the people who were living a different lifestyle. Were not being condemned.
No, not even the nudists. Like, it was not even it was an abject throw off comment by a guy who was learning, you know,
to relive again, obviously, because that old man had shut himself up in his house, in his workshop, away from the world. Just Chris called him on it too, man. Hard.
Yeah, for sure. But I think it's so funny because now, like, I think so much of what many of us are working toward in therapy is that level of don't give a shitness, you know, like,
well, so
like,
that's
of raw self,
of just raw, like, this is who I am, this is how I want to live. But he was never discourteous to anyone.
No,
he was always polite.
That's the part
I'm
working
always
on.
Nice. Yeah, like he was, even when the guy protecting the train, security guard for the train, he didn't fight back. He knew he was breaking the law.
Cool.
And so, like, there was that level of, like, level-headedness to him, even in his wildness, you know, like he respected other people.
I know. I think that's kind of the same point like Brad was trying to make earlier, even with the bear, he was still living for the experience, and he understood that other people like, oh, it's I don't want to infringe on the goodness of your experience, even if you're ruining mine.
The fact that he stated that the worst experience of his life was taking the life of a moose that he wasn't able to eat.
Yeah.
Now,
his life's greatest tragedy.
Yes. And I empathize with him, but at the same time, he did witness then the wolves.
Right. That's what Jason said.
So I was like, there is still, it didn't go to waste. Like, while his constitution wouldn't be able to handle the maggots, they obviously didn't give a shit.
And he was kind of lamenting the fate of human beings in the world. Like, he said something in regard to that with the animals and the human beings. I can't remember exactly what it was, but basically, you know, we have a weaker system. Like, we're, you know, basically not designed to
our inability to coexist with nature. We've separated so much from it.
The movie, you know, it's slow. It's kind of a slow start.
It's slow. Like, it would be hard to explain to somebody. So let's get to that. Recommending. It's a very slow-ish movie, but it is also very exciting. And like I had stated earlier,
captivating in its slowness.
It's like a very long montage,
right?
You know, in the sense that the way that the story told, it was small vignettes. It was basically like a little bit of anthology with the same character repeating himself and us going back. And that makes the stories each single serve, which allowed for when one story ended and a new one began, your interest just kept going. So while it wasn't an action pace, it wasn't, there wasn't a lot of thrill or things to get your blood pumping or a lot of heavy jokes. Everything was single serving size, and it just kept turning and turning and turning. So my interest was just there.
No, absolutely. I agree. It was interesting because, like, I started it yesterday and finished it today because I didn't have enough time.
Sure.
So that first part of it I was like kind of struggling to stay watching it. But then today, like earlier today when I finished watching it, you know, for the second time, I was riveted, you know, and so it could have just been my own personal mental state at the time that I was trying to watch the beginning. But I think it's interesting that they set it up. It's like, it was almost like the dad wanted him to get a new car, you know, and you see that scene when he graduates.
I don't want things. I don't want anything.
And then it's like, boom, he leaves. But how long was he planning that leaving? You know what I mean? It makes me wonder.
4
they
years
didn't
of
really
college.
say possibly.
Yeah, I mean, it very well could have. It could have been something that was brewing and something in that moment. Like, I have to make a decision right now. It's left or right, and he went left.
Right, like if I go to college, I'm stuck. Like, I'm kind of stuck.
And I'm glad we didn't spend a lot of time. The first act could have been his exploring of that, and I'm glad we just jumped into it because I think ultimately,
it takes away from his like the journey is the message.
But the motivation is, I agree. It's how much of it, how much of that festered in him, but we'll never know.
And then they flash back later to, you know,
honestly, I think it was his entire life because he's always wanted to run.
His family life was not
He stayed for his sister, and I think
so his sister
he had
wrote a
some
book,
kind of deal with his dad about because he got that check for $24K, and then he was able to go off and do whatever, and he donated that.
He had that money. That was his money.
That was his college fund. That was college fund.
Yeah, but his dad said he would cover the rest of Harvard
because he'd already gone 4 years of college. That's what remained.
But what I think is interesting is he gave that away, but then he worked little jobs.
So
to
I
make
thought
his
about
way
that
to Alaska.
too.
So I thought that was interesting.
Because at first
Alaska
you're like,
wasn't the original. Like, it was just the road. And then he decided along the way he wanted to go to Alaska.
And also, I mean, I think that's part of the learning curve, right?
He just wanted to be a tramp.
He wanted to alleviate himself of all of this stuff. He closed the account. He burned his cards. You know, he removed his identity. And then as you get going, he realized, like, okay, you know, I can do a few things to get all it, because he didn't want to stay there forever. He wasn't, regardless if Vince Vaughn got arrested or not, and we saw that with the RV. You know, you can wake up one morning and he's just fucking gone. He almost did it to Mr. France, right? It's part of his mode of operation to just vanish.
I don't want to say bye.
So I think, you know, he was, and even then, his letter back to Wayne was, "You paid me too much. This is too."
You made tramping too easy. You made tramping.
Don't know how to live with all this money.
And it was only $1,000. Now it's $1,000 in 1990 money, but at the same time, it ends. That runs out.
How do you put it? My days were more interesting when I was penniless.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
This is an interesting perspective.
Yeah, 100%.
Because now you have to fill your day with survival. Like you go through and make sure you get your necessities. Right. It's doable, but it's.
But I do think it's really interesting because I think there's this conversation that I had a lot when my kids were younger, with other parents. My kids are, in their 20s now, but about how much work kids should be doing, around the house and what should their responsibilities be. And I do think, and this could be, an opinion that's not very popular,
a little taboo,
but I think that kids need to feel like they're contributing to their own survival and the survival of the household. And otherwise they feel worthless. And even like academia. So now, all of our kids are so driven, like so pushed toward doing well in school, the subjects, the tests, the getting good grades, this and
extracurricular activities to get into college.
Right. And they don't even have time. Like we think that they're too exhausted. They don't have time to clean the bathroom. They don't have time to make dinner. They don't have time to,
We don't have chores in my house.
Yeah.
You just clean up after yourself. You take care of what the mess is that you.
Right.
Well, there's a mess. Okay.
Yeah.
Is it your mess? Pick it up. You know where the garbage is.
Right. Or like, it's like, my thing fell off my wall. Okay. Fix it. I can tell you where where their supplies are. You figure out how to put it back on.
That's the importance to me.
I'll show you 2 or 3 times.
When I was a kid,
I'll supervise.
When I was a kid, I was raised by a single dad. And we did a lot of camping in Canada. He had the month of August off always. Mm-hmm. And we would take like 3 weeks and camp up in Canada where it was like 7 campsites and an outhouse, on a lake. And so that part of that adventure resonated with me. I did backcountry hiking when I was a young adult and stuff like that. So that resonated with me, but also just this idea of having to work for one's own survival, like chopping wood. Like my family growing up, we had a wood burning stove in our house and we had electric heat too, but it supplemented whenever anyone in my small town had a tree fall down, we got our old truck. And it was me, my brother, and my dad. And we went, and my dad had a chainsaw. We all had our leather gloves, and we were hauling wood and stacking it and putting it and splitting it. And, every other day, my brother and I was going out, bringing in wood and stacking it by the wood stove. You know what I mean?
It didn't happen every day in my house, but my dad's father, when he moved up to Grayling, he had owned I don't want to say 30 acres. Yeah. And he daily would ride it, clear it. Build his wood up, and he had a wood stove in his little single wide,
But just those kinds of things, like even cooking. Like my husband calls me a kitchen wizard now. I love to cook. I can find like 6 ingredients in the kitchen and make something out of it. That's like kind of my thing. Yeah. And when I was a kid, I remember being in the kitchen with my dad, cooking always, and also cleaning up. It was all of our jobs. And what I think it does is it makes people, we have an innate drive to survive.
Yeah.
Yes.
If we don't have to do jack shit to make ourselves survive,
which
then
this generation's pretty much close to.
Anxiety, depression, feelings of disconnectedness.
There's no survival of the fittest.
Yeah.
There's no competition that isn't
everyone gets a medal.
Elective. There's no competition. You can just agree to go, I'm not going to compete.
Yeah.
We have to transition.
I'll get a blue ribbon
We have to transition this conversation back to movies. So lighting as this is, it is.
I think it has to do with the wild.
It is.
He had a drive to survive.
We're gonna, it's
definitely
keep on track. Keep it on track. We got the first 80.
We can keep this conversation going. But
in a nutshell, I believe I agree with
what you're saying,
it's
Melinda.
the greatest movie of all time.
I agree. What the difficulty is with making that choice of how much work do my children do or not is a part of the statement of this film in the question of how early do I indoctrinate my child into the system.
Well, I think more
because that's what it does. That's why I support it. I support giving my child chores and something to do because if you let them relax and then one day throw work at them, they don't have. That's where a lot of our modern day people have like oh shit, I've never. My kid didn't have homework.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's terrible, because now when college comes and you've got papers to write, no one gives a shit.
Yeah. But I think more so what I was trying to relate that to was Chris's drive to have a survival experience.
Yeah.
It was his innate drive, which I think is deep down inside every human being, to be responsible for his own literal survival.
Yeah.
You know, and we
It
don't.
just went a lot deeper than most.
It just went a lot deeper. And I think, like, when I was a kid growing up, we got a little of that when we were camping. We didn't do survivalist camping. We brought coolers with some food, but we fished. I was 5 years old taking fish off a hook, learning how to scale a fish, knowing that after all of that work, that was going to go in foil with butter on the fire, and I was going to get to reap the reward of that fishing experience. You know what I mean? And I think kids now, like, we grow up. I don't want to say kids. I'm saying, like, a lot of human beings now don't know where their food comes from. They don't have an opportunity to experience survival.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like real survival. You know, so I think that's where I was getting to, like, that experience of having to take care of oneself, like actually truly take care of oneself.
Yeah.
So I think to me, I teetered, like, I don't know if he was mentally ill. I don't know that it matters. Yeah, no, for sure.
But
this movie wasn't chosen for mental health awareness. It was,
but to discuss it, it's a great way to discuss it.
It did happen, yeah, because, like, I'm one of those people.
All those elements for sure.
Once I watch a movie, I'll go in and look at conversations online. If it's a true story, see what I can learn about, you know, and like the guy that gave him the boots, that was the guy that gave him the boots.
Yeah.
The guy that on the Slab City with the Scourge Mountain or whatever it is.
That was the real guy.
That was the real guy.
Oh, yeah. That was
and then
the guy,
Franz took his advice and started hiking and doing all kinds of things. When he got the news that Chris had died, he gave up his religion and started going downhill and ended up dying of alcohol poisoning.
Oh, my gosh. He touched him so much.
Yeah.
Well,
Wow,
he wanted
that's
him to come back and adopt him.
I mean, I guess that was the only time Hal Holbrook has been nominated for an Oscar. And that's fascinating to me that he got nominated for that role, because it was incredible. Yeah. But it is fascinating to me that someone with a career is like his.
Yeah, that's crazy. Right. But I think that this film was a really interesting study of mental health, because it kind of, for me, this watch, like, I think when I watched it the first time a long time ago, I definitely was like, that guy's crazy. And this time I'm like, maybe not so crazy. You know, maybe not so crazy.
Yeah, the bohemian me always
when
like got
when
jealous.
I saw it as when did it come to
2007?
Yeah, I was 24, something like that. Like, I thought he was brilliant. He was my role model.
Okay. But it makes you understand how much of a societal construct the mental health diagnoses really are. Because if you look into other traditions, like you know, especially more like native traditions or tribal traditions, if somebody is bipolar, or if somebody is, you know, like schizophrenic, and they're having hallucinations, that person is a visionary, is a seer,
he would quote or paraphrase Whitman, Thoreau, all sorts of the greats. You know, he was just off the cusp. It
just makes you kind of understand that these mental health diagnoses that we apply to people are societal constructs. Yeah. Because they're not the same when you go into other societies. They look at it very differently.
Different cultures,
So it's just, I don't know. This hit me different this time.
Yeah.
This hit me different.
Well, that's a good transition into our topic of the day there, Bradford.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which is movies about mental health awareness.
Heck
so we have talked a little bit already about the idea of mental health, and we kind of discussed it a lot through. So I don't want to have to spend too much time on defining it.
No, it's defined.
Yeah. So let's get into the list. We're going to each pick 4 for a total of 12 total recommendations. We don't rank our recommendations, and our goal is to just talk about movies that impacted us based upon the topic, and possibly talk about movies that you guys haven't heard of before, or introduce new ones to each other. So,
okay.
Melinda, do you mind starting for us?
Sure. I'm terrible at this. You're going to find out this really quickly. Like movie names, actor names, like I'm really bad at it. But I would say Black Swan.
Okay. Don't fire them all off. Don't fire them all off. No. One at a time. One at a time. One at a time.
Okay.
One at a time.
Okay.
Just give me a recommendation.
Okay. Black Swan.
Tell me about it.
So Black Swan, it's about, I actually only watched it recently. I didn't watch it when it came out.
Oh, no kidding.
It was so dark, but it's about this young woman who is a professional ballerina and ballet dancer, and she auditions for the role of the Swan.
Yeah. Swan Lake.
Such a good movie. Yeah.
It's really dives into, she has a very dysfunctional relationship with her mother, who I believe is very controlling and trying to kind of live vicariously, and at the same time blames the end of her own dance career on her pregnancy with her daughter. Is very, very controlling.
You have to do this for me because you took it from me.
Right. And then, the competition between the women, and then, her own self harm, she self-harms, which, I've done a lot of reading and research about in the past, and is really a form of having your body match your physical pain to match your internal pain.
Sure. Okay.
And lack of control in your life. So it's like that combination of things. So her own, physical, self-harm, and then just like her spiral into, insanity.
She had a problem with obsession, right? She was obsessed with her career through the abusiveness of her mother, which extended to being abused by her peers, the other dancers, and the directors as well, the ballet directors, the dance teachers and coaches and all that. Yeah. Her whole life, so it just, it went downhill magnificently. Like the way they showcased it was brilliantly done. And you could, feel the pain, you feel the confusion,
Yeah. And as the way that Darren Aronofsky filmed it, it's incredible how beautiful and horrifying the movie really is. She learned how to dance. I think both her and Mia Kunis went through training. But the juxtaposition between the two of them in the lightness and the darkness, and then how it switches, and then the hallucinations that she starts to experience. It's such a thrill ride as far as a movie goes. And I can't even really name too many other movies that are like it. It's similar in this way to this film, but like as a complete whole. It's
comparisons could be made, but they're not full. They're excerpt comparisons.
Right. Like, another dancing horror movie could be Suspiria, but this is not in any way the same as Suspiria.
There are points, but there's no direct.
Yeah, so that would be, if you're looking for a good deep dive into mental illness.
It is a brilliantly made movie. All the performances, cinematography. It was a real team effort because it's seamless the way that vision was created.
And that was early in Aronofsky's career, where he was still nailing bangers before Noah and some of the other.
Great choice.
All right, Joe.
My turn. All right. I'm going to go with 2003 comedy thriller Matchstick Men. Nicolas Cage, Sam Rockwell.
On my list.
Nicolas Cage plays Roy, a depressed con artist with obsessive compulsive disorder, and Frank, played by Sam Rockwell, his partner, find their line of work complicated by the arrival of Roy's teenage daughter, Angela, played by Alison Lohman. Angela brings
Lohman. Sorry.
It says man right there. Angela brings some spirit back into Roy's life, and some of his disorder symptoms seem to disappear. But when Angela wants to learn the family business, and Roy allows her to assist on a big scam concerning a businessman, he reconsiders his parenting techniques.
Yeah, it's a con movie. It's
they're con men, and ultimately, Sam Rockwell, exploits his abilities.
Exactly. Yeah, don't need to go into spoiling.
Yeah.
The two of them as partners are great. First off, it's one of the early Sam Rockwell movies, in my experience of Sam Rockwell, where I was like, holy shit, I got to watch this guy. He is great. His performance in that movie is amazing. But it's also Nicolas Cage before he went over into,
before he bought the studio,
before he lost everything and became Crazy Cage Man. And but it's
one of my favorite Cage movies.
Yeah, because I remember after watching that, because he'd done Gone in 60 Seconds and then his action phase with The Rock and everything like that. There was a point where we were starting to wonder, what is he a good actor? And his use of the OCD and his performance in it is very calculated. It's so good.
You don't see Nick Cage.
It's not like you would think if I said, "Oh, Nick, you should watch this movie." It's Nick Cage and he's OCD. Yeah. You would think it's over the top, but it's not. It's so subtle and so good. And Alison Lohman is brilliant in this movie.
Everybody does such an amazing job.
I haven't seen it. I just put it on my watch list.
Oh man, directed by Ridley Scott. It's one of my favorite Ridley Scott movies because it's fun. It's funny, and
it sends a serious message. It really kind of does, but it has fun with it.
Oh, that's good.
And beautifully done. It has this sort of dreamy look to it too, almost like the lighting's kind of slightly overexposed, but it's artfully done. It's nice.
Okay.
All right. So my recommendation, I think it's around the same timeline. Okay, a couple years earlier, and. Before I say what this title is, I just want to mention that, and we've mentioned it on our show before, we appreciate the artist for their art, not always for what they do in their lives, Right. And a movie is not one person. Hundreds of people work. So when I recommend a movie and there might be somebody in it that, is canceled or underappreciated today because of their actions, keep in mind they weren't the only one that worked on the movie.
Right.
So 2001, Jeff Bridges and Kevin Spacey did K-Pax.
Oh, I love K-Pax.
And K-Pax was such an experience because Jeff Bridges.
I was such a Spacey fan too.
I know, me too.
How do you spell that?
K-PAX.
Okay.
So K-Pax is about a psychiatrist, Jeff Bridges, and his patient who is in a mental hospital, played by
Kevin Spacey.
Well, his mind.
You spaced it.
But exactly. He believes himself to be an alien, and he plays that 100%. So this movie, and it's been a while since I've seen it, so I don't remember too many plot points, but here's what I recall. I recall Jeff Bridges being our stand-in as the audience, and Kevin Spacey, who claims to be from K-Pax, and he's an alien, is so invested in this. Thank you. The movie constantly has you asking yourself, is he telling the truth? Or is he identifying and having a struggle with, he's in a mental institute. So it forces you to question, how do you know if you don't know? And I don't want to spoil because I do recall the ending
to relate to the mental health, it's a classic case of displacement, personality displacement. So he believes he is proped, but watch the movie.
It does a great job.
Amazing job. Yes.
Of forcing you to teeter the fence of, am I watching a movie about reality? Is this a sci-fi movie?
Okay.
When
do we live in sci-fi?
The way he does the difference in the characters, because there's 3 levels of it. And I don't want to spoil it, but just Kevin Spacey at his
He's
finest.
An artist, man. He's good. Just an artist.
And separating him, that he's an amazing artist. Yes.
But so that's my first recommendation is K-Pax.
Awesome. All right.
So before we go on, and our earlier conversation was a bit lengthy, so we're going to quickly take a break, empty our bladders, and when we come back, we're going to continue our list.
We are back.
Welcome back, everyone. So when we left off, we've each made a recommendation. There are 3 movies on our list: Black Swan, Matchstick Men, and K-Pax. So that brings us back to Melinda. Melinda, what is your next recommendation?
It's a good start.
Okay, I'm going to recommend one of my favorite movies of all time. And I think it fits. If not, you can just tell me to scrap it and move on.
We'll see.
Peanut Butter Falcon.
I haven't seen it yet.
100%. Yeah.
It is literally one of my favorite movies of all time. It is about this guy who's like a crab fisherman in was it Mississippi? No, where
I don't remember the state.
Louisiana.
Seen Louisiana. I think I've seen it once, so I'm going to be vague on the details.
I've seen it like 5 times.
Okay,
so,
perfect.
So the lead is played by Shia LaBeouf.
Yeah.
And he is down and out. Yep. And the co-lead is, I don't know the name of the actor. He's a man with Down syndrome.
Yeah, what's his name?
And
he's amazing.
he's
been a few things. I love him. His work is
Can we do spoilers in this segment, or
we try not to?
But as long as it's not,
I'm not going to spoil. This happens at the very beginning of the movie, so I'm going to let you know. He, with the help of his roommate, escapes the assisted living facility that he's been placed in. Because his family can't take care of him, doesn't want to take care of him, whatever. But he's a Down syndrome young man living with a bunch of elderly people. Right. So he wants to be a professional wrestler. Yeah. And he wants to see the name of the wrestler slipping my mind.
Oh yeah, I don't have that one on
Anyways, so this becomes one of the most heartwarming, fascinating adventure buddy movies I think of all time.
It is very Huck Finn.
Yes, they go on an event. They buddy up, this very unlikely duo. Yeah. And why I think it falls into this category is the way that people are treated who have Down syndrome by many people is demeaning and demoralizing, and it makes them feel inadequate, like they can't live an adult life, like they don't have dreams, like they can't do things.
I have a distant friend now, but in high school, Angela Long, she had Down syndrome. And I was always she's a person, right? Just treated her that way, and she wound up getting a job at Kroger after high school, and she is a manager now. She got moved to another state, and so I still talk to her every now and then on Facebook. But yeah, like they're people. Everybody's born the way they're born. You know, there's much control over that as your gender or your, you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Color of your eyes. And so I think what's so fascinating about this that I love and that makes it so endearing is this guy who's, down on his luck and, would be looked at by society as, an invisible kind of,
vagrant.
It treats this young man with Down syndrome with the utmost respect. Like, hey,
it's beautiful.
And it's like, it's just like fantastic. And then, when they're trying to find the guy to put him back in the facility, you realize that he's treated like he can't do anything. Yeah. But literally, he's with this buddy, he's with the Shia LaBeouf character, and he's swimming, he's catching fish, and he names his wrestling character Peanut Butter Falcon.
Yeah. I'm the Peanut Butter Falcon.
Peanut Butter Falcon.
And, I mean, the movie is...
This sounds right up my alley. First off, I like Shia LaBeouf.
Me too.
The character he plays is done in proper Shia LaBeouf fashion. Like no one else could have done the same thing that he did.
So interestingly, the movie was made because this young Down syndrome man wanted to be in a movie.
Zach Gottsigan.
Yes. So he wanted to be a movie actor. Somehow there was a connection between between Shia LaBeouf and this guy, or like how they met. I'm not sure. Right. But they basically wrote this movie for this young man to be in.
Well, that's wonderful. And so I'm noticing in pop culture more growth. First off, I think overall, and I think this is a statement for this whole list. Overall, I think we're getting better at how we look at mental illnesses or conditions outside of normalcy as far as accepting in society.
Sure.
However, I still think we're in a phase of exploitation. And while something like this is making a statement and it's glorious, at the same time you have the reality shows that are like, look, Down syndrome people in love, and or little people in love, and look, little people in their normal lives. And I still think there's like, I'm torn between giving proper exposure for normalcy, and exploiting something that, I mean, how is that much different than the traveling circus of freaks?
Right. So there's a curiosity that we have about people who are living outside the norm. Norm
as you referenced earlier,
Yeah. And so I think that curiosity is okay, but like, I think there's a way to do it and there's a way not to do it, and this, like, the Peanut Butter Falcon is endearing, and it's making you understand that person as a human being
instead of the butt of a joke.
Right. Instead of like gawking. We're not gawking. I mean, we're laughing when he's running out the field in his whitey tighties, after through the window. But like the way that, and this is how I've always, I have a niece with autism, obviously on the autism spectrum. She's 17. She loves being at my house because I don't, she's just hanging out, and she'll be
I
like,
met her the other week when I was doing drywall. Very nice young lady.
Yeah. So she'll just be like, she'll say something that might be off-putting, but I know that it's her communication style because of her autism. Mm-hmm. So she might say something that to another adult in the house might feel off-putting, like, hey, I want some milk. And that might be like but there are people who are like, well, that was rude. I'm busy. I'm doing stuff. No, I'm like, cool. There's a bunch of milk in the fridge. Grab it. Know where the glasses are. She's totally cool with that. Yeah. It wasn't her.
It's just a verbal acknowledgement of her emotions or her feeling.
Right, taking a minute to understand our differences and then treating them like every other human being. That's all they want. And that's what I think I love about this film with Shia LaBeouf. But Shia got something from him too. Yes. He got companionship and admiration and, camaraderie because he had lost his brother. And so
it filled a void that was very specific to that character.
It filled a void for him. And of course, there's all these adventures and mishaps, along the way, and interesting one-off characters that we meet along the way. But
this sounds really cool.
Yeah, you definitely need to watch it.
It is probably the best rendition of the modern day telling of Huckleberry Finn. Because Huck was an orphan, so having
lost brother.
Interesting.
It's basically the same story, but I mean, with very modern and different twists. But I love it so much. It's such a good.
What is the name of that wrestler? It was like the Backwater Hurricane or something like that. It was like this old, like he was trying to get to the training school. He wanted to go to the wrestling training school.
Captain Zeno shows no mercy.
So that's my recommendation.
It's such a good movie. Definitely watch that. Yeah.
From 2019.
Yeah, fairly recent, pre-pandemic, but so good. I'm going to the classic 1975 Jack Nicholson, man.
Yeah.
One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
Yeah. I think our lists are very the same.
When Randall Patrick McMurphy, Jack Nicholson, gets transferred for evaluation from a prison farm to a mental institution, he assumes it will be a less restrictive environment. But the marionette nurse
Nurse Ratchet,
played by Louise Fletcher. Sorry, that's a Chevy Chase thing. Runs the psychiatric ward with an iron fist, keeping her patients cowed through abuse, medication, and sessions of electroconvulsive therapy. The battle of wills between the rebellious McMurphy and the inflexible Ratchet soon affects all the ward's patients, and it's iconic. It's one of my favorite books.
The longest synopsis that was available on IMDb.
Yeah, it's good.
Guy goes to a mental institution and causes havoc. What I love about this movie, there's the cast, which is just loaded with all kinds of great people.
So many, yeah. Danny DeVito, Will Sampson, Sidney Lacey,
Christopher Lloyd. This movie, it's interesting because it, like Into the Wild, it has you kind of questioning everyone's motives as far as like, because first off, like it's based on a book.
Is McMurphy insane?
The book is written from this perspective of I forget the character's name, but the Native American character,
Chief.
Chief, thank you.
He just calls him Chief. Yeah.
And Chief is medically certified unstable. I don't know what his condition was, so I'm not trying to be insensitive, but he's not of clear mind. That being said, that immediately makes him an unreliable narrator. Mm-hmm. In the movie, it doesn't really go from that perspective, and that's why I like the two as a pair.
Yeah, because the book, it's two different stories of the same.
So the movie kind of gives you a bird's eye view and allows you to experience everybody and go through. And sometimes you're like, okay, like the movie doesn't make mental illness a villainous thing. They make the arguably healthier Jack Nicholson more exploitative, but as he goes on, he takes him out to play baseball, and like he shows it's another fuck the system type of thing. Nurse Ratched is holding them down, and he causes an uprise, but it's such a good movie. Yeah, it's such a cool movie.
It is. It's great.
Yeah.
And it's one of my favorite. I love that author. Yeah,
absolutely.
Oh yeah, Ken Casey.
Jason and I went as him and the Nurse Ratched for Halloween one year.
Yeah. Oh, that's great.
Yeah, so
that's great. Yeah, and one of the better Jack Nicholson performances.
Yeah.
It's so not over the top. Mm-hmm. Danny DeVito is hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
As always, I love DeVito. But yeah, so I mean, that one for me is almost like the quintessential, but we didn't really give one, right? So,
sure.
Right.
Yeah, that one is, it kind of got me hooked on wanting to take in those types of movies because of it really showing different angles of because perspective, right? Of other people's perspective, knowing like the human condition is a variable, not a constant.
Yeah. And going back to Peanut Butter Falcon, people are people.
Yeah.
Like they mentally having
with all our differences and individualities, we have the same basic wants and needs.
Right. So having a difference in mental normalcy doesn't make you a prisoner. It shouldn't make you a prisoner. No. You shouldn't just be shoved aside out of society to make everyone else's life easier. And One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest explores that very well.
And I think there's a line, if somebody is dangerous in their mental illness, to themselves or others, that keeping them away from society isn't a bad thing.
Or to not harm themselves. But I think there's always, fiction is always different than reality.
Right.
In fiction, these types of structural places, the institutions, that's the word I was looking for. We demonize a lot because, we know that they're run by people are fallible, and they get lazy, and they get abusive, and they get
especially
intolerant.
in that period in time, it was very much like
there weren't rules. There
whoever
weren't
had
laws or regulations.
there was no group or council overseeing, whoever ran that institution, and that was the end.
And they were just the unwanted placed within four walls, and whatever happened there, as long as they weren't outside.
Yep.
Yeah.
Up to the people in charge. They have a job.
Yeah.
We don't want to know about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
My recommendation is going to be 2004's Martin Scorsese's The Aviator.
Nice, dude. Yeah, that's on my honorable mentions for sure.
Leo DiCaprio playing Howard Hughes, who is he designed planes. He was brilliant. He became wealthy. He rubbed elbows with a lot of famous people. He made movies, but he suffered from a couple of conditions. Now, OCD was one for sure, but the movie takes it's one of those bios that covers a lot of time. It's not like an isolated piece. It does cover a long bit of, and it's Martin Scorsese, so it's long. But the fascinating part is when it gets to the height of his success and he starts to tuck himself away, and he becomes the opposite of claustrophobic.
Agoraphobic.
That's right.
And famously, he didn't leave his office. He had lined his entire house with bottles of piss, and it became.
He was saving everything: hair clippings, toenail clippings.
I haven't seen this.
So it's. What's really fascinating about
the true
this
story
movie,
about Howard Hughes,
this is
that's
true story.
facts.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But,
But they do hint toward it in the movie, but they don't really showcase how serious it was in the
Right. So what's really cool about this movie is, it's early 2004. DiCaprio is Hunkman of the generation.
Yeah, he's
only
just
a
come
few
off
years
of
off
the
of
beach and
Titanic and Beach
yeah.
and all the big stuff. But it
Romeo
does
and Juliet.
It does do a very good job of juxtaposing someone who is on the outside to everybody else, incredibly brilliant, but behind his own closed doors, suffering from something that he is unable to manage or undesired to manage or doesn't understand. But either way, it's
he was
depiction.
agoraphobic, obsessive compulsive, germaphobe. He had all sorts of things going. Yeah.
And yet he functioned as, arguably one of the
most brilliant aeronautic engineers of that generation.
Yeah.
The early 1900s. Yeah. Wow. World War One.
I've only seen the movie once. I remember it being, it's how I am with some biopics. You watch them, but that one was very fascinating.
It is. There's a lot of telltale stuff that wasn't available before that movie came out that has since been
it did enlighten a lot because now with the way that things are on the information highway that it is, we have a lot more access to it. But in his time, I mean, he was around during the golden era of Hollywood, and if you know anything about the golden era of Hollywood, it was nothing but a plethora of secrets. Everyone lived secret lives.
Not only was he an aviation mogul, he owned a studio. He owned a studio and created the biggest production of all time,
the Hell's Angels.
Yeah, which I've not seen.
I've not either. I would like to watch that.
Super long and super. It was silver screen era, not silent film, but definitely
it was silver screen. Yeah, there was sound
dubbed
to
over.
it.
Yeah, very bad.
But it was expensive, and he brought on the real Hell's Angels.
It took so long. Technicolor was invented, and they were like, "We should switch." And he's like, and "You gotta watch. It's so good."
Yeah. So that's my recommendation.
All
The
right.
Aviator.
Great. Yeah, I'll have to put that on my watch list.
That one is really good. I think aside from that, cinematically, my second favorite Howard Hughes depiction would be in The Rocketeer. Yeah, but we've talked about that movie. Anyway.
Okay.
All right, Melinda.
Okay. So my next one would have to be I gotta look at The Father with Anthony Hopkins.
Okay.
Have you guys seen it?
I've seen it the one time. I need to watch it.
So I watched it multiple times. It is Anthony Hopkins plays a character named Anthony, who is the aging father of his daughter, who is played by Olivia Colman.
Oh, I see. It's relatively new.
It's relatively new. It is the entire thing is filmed in one New York apartment.
I watched it when we were doing chamber piece research, and it was the newest one that I could see. I haven't watched it since then, so it's been,
What I love about it, so he's descending into deep dementia. He's older. His daughter moves him in with her.
Mm-hmm.
And
hitting a little close to home.
Yeah. And he is confused. And he has hallucinations. So, they bring a nurse in to take care of him. And he also has a daughter that is estranged. And sometimes he sees her as, his other daughter. And sometimes you're confused as the viewer because he's in a room that looks like a completely different place.
Right.
Like his house that he moved from.
Yeah.
And there's completely different people in the house. So now I'm confused. And what I'm feeling is the same confusion that he's feeling.
Right.
Having going through that episode of dementia and having to kind of deal with that.
Because the surroundings are the same, but they're changing in his mind. He thinks he's somewhere else.
He thinks he's somewhere else. But it puts the viewer
in that scene.
not
it's not his POV, but it puts you in that same feeling of discomfort and confusion and what just happened, which is why you have to watch it twice, because then once you get to the end and you're like, oh my God, which one was the real daughter?
I
Which
love a
one was
movie
the
where
thing?
you can watch it twice and get something out of it.
So I haven't watched it in a while, but I watched it multiple times when it came out, just because it just really it'd be very hard for someone to watch who is going through dementia, personally.
Sure.
But
definitely worth another watch. But as I said, it hits a little close to home for me with my mother-in-law. So
and I'll tell you what,
I needed it.
Yeah.
The idea of taking place in one apartment is fascinating when you have the talent of someone like Anthony Hopkins.
yes. Yeah, absolutely.
There's no concern of.
I believe you said extraordinary talent wrong.
Extraordinary talent. And I think I want to look at this cast list, but there's only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 cast members in the entire film.
Wow.
One location. I mean, the set designers were doing their thing, but so I think often we leave out things like dementia when we're talking about mental health.
Yeah, no, it's very,
it is very
prevalent in my life.
Yeah. And it's very prevalent in a lot of people's lives. So I think it's we have an aging population. People are living longer and longer, and we're having to take care of those people and be around those people. And there's no cure for dementia.
Nope. Especially
so
certain types that are can't even be tested until after death. So
recently, Gene Hackman died, and for me, it's one of the saddest deaths. Of recently, to know that
to speak of extraordinary talent,
his wife passed a week before him, and he has dementia. So I just kept thinking about how many times did he wake up and have to re-experience the loss of a loved one, and that that hurt me so much to think about, more than his own passing.
That's profound, Brad. Wow.
Yeah.
And we, you often have an aging parent or something, aging relative, friend, whatever, that are we thinking about how difficult, we think about how difficult they make our lives, but how difficult is their life to live?
It is a slap in the face sometimes when my mother-in-law calls me by her dead husband's name or her dead father's name.
Sure.
Just because that's where her mind is that day, and I have to not react to that. Just understand that this is where she is and how do I get her out. Back to her, you know what I mean? Back to somewhere comfortable.
Right.
Yeah. It can be difficult.
I'll have to look into that one, because that definitely sounds interesting.
Yeah. No, it was definitely very, very well done.
All right, Joe, back to you.
Okay. Well, I'm going to go to 2007. Ryan Gosling, Lars and the Real Girl.
Man, we are batting 100 today. I'm so glad you brought this up. I'm not even mad about it, because my list is so long that I'm like,
I know, I've got 16. How am I hitting all your? Anyways, so extremely shy Lars, Ryan Gosling, finds it impossible to make friends or socialize. His brother, Paul Schneider, and sister-in-law, Emily Mortimer, worry about him. So when he announces that he has a girlfriend he met on the internet, they are overjoyed. But Lars's new lady is a life-sized plastic woman, a real doll, a sex. Yeah. On the advice of a doctor, played by Patricia Clarkson, so good in this one, his family and the rest of the community, the whole town, because they live in this little one-horse 2,000 people.
It's like a lake town or something, isn't it?
Yeah, it's somewhere that's it might even be in Alaska, because it's frozen all the time.
Yeah.
But it could just be one of those things where, it's like North Dakota and they paint it like they paint Michigan. It's not all, I know we only have 2 seasons, winter and construction, but the sun's out right now. There's no snow. Anyways, but yeah, they all go along with the delusion. The whole town. He goes to church with this thing, and
he talks. He talks to her. He has them.
At one point, his delusion goes so far he speaks for her, whispers, little,
That's so creepy. I haven't seen it, but that's so creepy.
It's so good, and it's just it's heartwarming. It's touching, because I think they lost their parents at a very young age, or especially the mother. I think right, and the father. I don't know. I don't want to no spoilers, but. There was definitely the younger brother was stuck in this infancy, right? He never really grew up. and he needed some kind of proper socialization through a woman, right? Like, because he could handle guys kind of fine, right? But yeah, it was like there was a girl at work constantly hitting on him, yeah, it's just you got. I can't think of anything I can say that won't spoil it.
No, it's
that's
so
okay.
funny.
Yeah, no, it's definitely on. It's actually on my watch list. I haven't watched it yet.
Yeah,
so.
highly recommend it.
Okay.
Yeah,
Amazing soundtrack.
it's just so much fun. All right, so what year is this?
It's 2007.
I'm talking about.
Oh, your movie. Yes, your turn.
Yeah.
At least 2025.
Anyways,
what do you mean?
it was directed by Craig Gillespie. Yeah.
I only saw it once in theaters, but
Screenplay
I
by
loved
Nancy
it so
Oliver. It won a National Board of Review Award for Best Original Screenplay. Yeah.
And before Ryan Gosling was playing like all the hot roles, and like I think that has done him a disservice.
Yeah, this was more around the time of Drive.
Yeah,
you know
he's so good. All right, so my next recommendation, I'm going to hit something that we haven't yet talked about, and I'm going to go with 1982's First Blood. The very first Rambo movie with Sylvester Stallone. And I only saw this movie for the first time recently, some months ago, going through and just trying to check off all these movies that everyone knows I haven't seen yet. So I was like, well, let me hit up one of these super famous ones here. And what I was surprised to learn.
Everyone knows what you haven't seen.
Oh, what I was surprised, well, we keep learning
It's a lot of responsibility for society.
But what I didn't realize, because you hear about Rambo, and First Blood is not Rambo. Rambo 2 is actually First Blood 2, Rambo 1, because it's not a action blow 'em up like you've come to know Rambo. First Blood is actually about PTSD. He has just come back from Vietnam. He has no inclusion of where he is and trying to reorient himself to society, and he's just moving through a town, makes it through a small mountain town, and it's the end of the Vietnam, so of course the hippie era. He's got long hair, he's dirty, he's got his bag, and the local police are like, yo, get the fuck out of here.
You dirty hippie.
Yeah, we don't want your kind around here. And it's an exploration of, one, how America treated the soldiers when they came back, but also like you go because he ends up just trying to survive in the woods until the local PD ramp up a whole attack on him, and so he's just defending himself. So that's where the violence comes in, is him defending himself. But it's an exploration of the noises that he hears and the panics that he has in the dark, and how he has to get back into society, dealing with all of the afflictions that he gained while serving the country.
And the man just wants to go home to the farm.
That's all he wants to do. He's just looking for a meal to eat and
some land
a place
to work.
Yep. Yeah. And he gets pushed aside, and I mean, like the intent of the movie is the displacement of our soldiers, and
I think you come to learn like he has no real family to go home to.
Nothing.
He has his home.
Nothing.
That's it.
He is dedicated.
Just the property.
Yep. And he's he's become a soldier because of conditioning, and this is what he knows, and he just wanted to come back, and it's just a matter of not being wanted and not being desired because of what was done to him by the society that's shunning him.
Yeah, and what the Rambo franchise became really kind of, I believe, took away from such a strong PTSD focused movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the second one, I did end up watching the second one. I haven't watched beyond that yet. I needed a break. His character still struggles with that.
Yeah, but it became the plot's now more about political bullshit.
So I definitely recommend. I don't know that you have to watch any of the other ones. I recommend First Blood as a standalone movie.
I do too. Yeah, I would go. Yeah.
Awesome.
I would say that as well.
Awesome.
Nice. All right, Melinda.
Okay, so this is a newer movie, 2024 release, A24's Friendship. with Paul Rudd. Have either of you guys seen it?
No, I wanted to.
Wait.
Is it still in theaters?
Is that the one with the guy in the wheelchair and the girl he meets on the road? What's that one called?
No. This is about so Paul Rudd.
I remember it was in theaters.
Yeah, it's Tim Robinson and Paul Rudd.
Beckham.
Paul Rudd plays like the charismatic, like everybody likes him guy that moves in next door across the street from this guy named Craig, who is living like his day-to-day family life. His kids don't really like him. Like he's just very like in his routine. He's the guy who, it seems to me like they don't say it, but he might be maybe on the spectrum because he's very very bound to his routine, the same clothes, that very stuck to like his same. But he's also
that sounds
very
like OCD.
Yeah. But he's socially awkward, and he keeps getting the instigator of the story is he keeps getting packages on his doorstep for the new neighbor across the street, who is Paul Rudd and is very cool, like plays instruments and like has cool things from all over the world and whatever. And so that guy, invites him to like a guys hangout. And I think it's rare that you see movies about male friendships.
That's fair.
Like that, like neighbor friendship kind of things. It's always like the women like at each other or whatever, but this was the men. And so it's interesting because to me, it's this story about being taken in, and then once you do something off or like that's not acceptable, you're shunned, you're shut out.
And
you're shut out.
If you've been craving that connection, you feel violated by the disconnect.
And so then he becomes like obsessed with the neighbor across the street. So I went into it thinking it was going to be more of like a horror movie. It wasn't really a horror movie.
I didn't know what it was. That's why I didn't. I did want to go see it because of the two cast members, but I wasn't sure what I was going to watch.
I almost felt like I would categorize it as a dark comedy in a way.
Okay.
Like it was funny and comical, but really uncomfortable in places.
Yeah, it's got Kate Mara too.
Of a suspense.
Yeah, and like you just are like, God, you feel bad for the guy, but then you realize like there's some gaslighting going on maybe, and like you just feel like, I mean, by the end you just feel so like you feel bad for the guy, but then you're like, at times you're like, well, why did you do that? Like why did you take it too far?
I'm on your side, but I kind of get it.
But I can't be, because you're like losing your shit over here. Mm. But I think that's like, I guess it's not like. It is a mental illness. It's one of those temporary madness things where something just drives you insane and it just gets under your skin and you've got to prove something or you've got to something just snaps in you. And so that one I think is it's not one that I think that I'm going to be like, hey, it's a Friday night, let's watch this again, but it was definitely worth the watch. It's uncomfortable.
Yeah, reading some of the reviews, it's effortlessly awkward.
Well,
disastrously awkward.
It's nice to say that it's effortlessly awkward because I got to say, I've never seen awkward be effortless. Like somebody's trying, even if it's the wrong thing, they're trying.
Yeah. That's true. That is very true. But yeah, it's like, man, it's, you ever have those.
I love you, man, for sickos.
I'm into that description. Like I was already it was already on my watch list, but I think it just went up.
That's funny. Yeah. So yeah, it's just the things that he gets into, especially when he's blocked out from the group and then tries to be as cool as the other guy by trying to be exactly like him. It's just that awkwardness of like,
I had a friend like that about 10 years ago.
Yeah.
We're not meant to name names. He might be listening.
Yeah.
Go away.
All right, Joe.
Anyway, that's friendship.
Like this. I love you, man, for sickos.
Yeah.
Never had Rebel. I never had Rebel before, but I just had Rebel. I really like Rebel. Oh, sorry. I'm back. Okay. Oh, so this is number 4 for me, right?
This is your last one, yeah?
Oh, I'm kind of torn. No, I'm going to go with 2016's Split with James McAvoy.
About
DID. which would more recently or used to be known as multiple personality disorder. Now it's DID, which stands for something. Anyway, though Kevin, played by James McAvoy, has evidenced 23 personalities to his trusted psychiatrist, Dr. Fletcher, played by Betty Buckley, there remains one still submerged who is set to materialize and dominate all of the others, compelled to abduct 3 teenage girls led by the willful, observant Casey. Kevin reaches a war for survival among all of those contained within him, as well as everyone around him, as the walls between his compartments shatter. And Anna Taylor-Joy is just amazing in this M. Night Shyamalan movie. So good. Oh.
Yeah, this is an impactful one. So this basically is a kidnap story. So
it opens up with a kidnapping.
It's a victim versus a kidnapper, and the entire movie explores the kidnapper. And
it's the second installment in the Unbreakable trilogy, which Unbreakable was made a long time ago with Bruce Willis and
it was probably
Jackson.
2003 or 4, I guess.
Way before.
But I mean, James McAvoy's performance in this movie is
it's breathtaking. Like, you watch the transition.
So much clarity.
Wait, I did see this. This was really good.
So much clarity in between each of his. He had a distinct character, a distinct character that he performed and would seamlessly move between them. You know, camera tricks allow you to do that, but his performance is so definitive.
The simple, subtle behavioral changes, like the way he held his gaze or his eyes, the way he breathed, the way his shoulders rested, the little mannerisms of hand movements,
everything,
like mouth gestures. He was different fucking people right before your eyes.
He was incredible.
Breathtaking.
And just, I think that this kind of movie, though, what I think gets me in these kind of movies is just like, you were almost saved. Like,
they did
that so well. You know, they did that so well.
But that because she got a little bit of not Munchausen. Empathy for her captor.
Not Munchausen by proxy.
No.
What's it? Oh man, it's on the tip of my tongue.
I'm not gonna waste too much time on it. But there's
Stockholm syndrome.
Stockholm. Thank you. And she's.
I don't think it was Stockholm. I think because you watch the flashbacks, she was aware that there was, because she had PTSD. So she was aware that this person was not right and she needed to find a way around.
Right.
That's true. Other girls
That's true.
were responding to their first trauma.
Yeah.
This girl was like, not my first rodeo.
Yeah.
Like,
that's true.
Yeah.
And even how she ended up getting there was, it's just a fabulous movie. It's one of Shyamalan's better movies.
Yes, very much.
So too.
Very much so.
All right.
Yeah.
So
good one.
Last pick, and then just so you know,
we're gonna to it is equally amazing.
We're gonna do a little bit of like what else came on your list type of thing.
Yeah, we'll do honorable mentions after.
Be more of a speed round.
Okay.
And I'm having a hard time picking. Split wasn't even on my list. I don't know how I didn't even think about that one. So that was such a great one.
Thanks.
And I'm torn between two. Both are comedies. One by filmmakers I really love, but I'm going to go with this one because it hit me. It hit me a lot when I saw this movie. So this is, I don't remember what year, so I'll find out here in a moment, but Observe and Report with...
Okay. All right. I almost put that on my list.
What's his name? Seth Rogen.
Seth Rogen. I love Aziz Ansari in that.
What surprised me in this movie was it's advertised as just a standard Seth Rogen comedy. And it came out around the time as Paul Blart. So you had the whole mall comedy thing. And the ad for it was very silly. But the truth of the matter is it's very serious. It's funny. First off, it is a funny movie.
I'll be honest, the only reason I saw it is because it hit the $2 rack at my local 7-Eleven.
What's it called?
Observe and Report. And I really did think...
Observe and Report. Oh, okay.
And I really did think it was Paul Blart Seth Rogen style. Like, you know what I mean? I thought it was one of those like Deep Impact Armageddon.
He is
not the case.
He is a mall security, but he has higher expectations. He suffers with bipolar, and it is a comedy, but you'll watch. When you watch
the relationship with the mother, she infantizes him.
Yes, there's so much character exploration, and
I got Anna Faris's character. Fuck. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I want to let you talk if you're going to talk. There's so much exploration and throwing me off, buddy. Just in general, I recommend it. Yeah, I recommend it. It's not what you thought it would be. It's not what the advertisements say it is. Not that it isn't funny, but it's not 40-Year-Old Virgin in any way. Okay. It takes a very serious look at a sickness that can really take hold of somebody.
Mm-hmm. No,
I forgot Anna Faris was even in it.
Yeah, that's the girl he like idolizes after, and the way he tries to like, it's it's disturbingly funny.
Okay, all right,
Ray Liotta, Michael Pena, Jesse Plemons.
We can't laugh at mental illness.
I forgot about Ray Liotta's character, and he's deprecating.
And the writer director, I recognize the name. What else has he done? So this is Jody Hill.
Okay,
Jody Hill. Well, IMDb's changed, so I can't even quickly look shit up anymore. So
yeah, the format's weird now.
Whatever. So our list for tonight has been, I'm just going to read through the titles.
Give them to me.
Black Swan, Matchstick Men, K-Pax, The Peanut Butter Falcon, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, The Aviator, The Father, Lars and the Real Girl, First Blood, Friendship, Split, and Observe and Report. So now we need our friend Melinda here to roll the dice and see what movie we are going to watch at the start of our episode next week.
Oh, okay. Here we go. Number two.
This is a really good one. Matchstick Men. I haven't seen this one in so long.
Joe wins again.
Yeah, Joe's got a streak going.
But Matchstick Men.
But it was going to be one of my recommendations too, so I ain't even mad about it. So yeah, next week we're going to watch our next episode. All this time, and I still can't just say episode. We're going to watch Matchstick Men. So what didn't make your whole conversation?
Well, there's I can just list off a few
just fire them off.
Stephen King's Carrie. Heathers.
Heathers. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah. Hold on. New movie with John Lithgow called The Rule of Jenny Penn. Another about elderly people.
Okay.
So good.
I love John Lithgow so much.
Yeah, me too.
Let me think.
I hate to hear him being called elderly. It makes me feel
I know.
old
He's
too.
like 90 or something.
John Lithgow?
Yeah.
Stop.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you talk. I'm going to look that up.
Yeah. He's either 80 or 90. I just heard an interview with him. Fantastic interview. Okay. So Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind.
Yeah, that was on mine. Yeah.
Okay. Train Spotting.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think more about addiction.
Addiction?
But
No.
one more.
It's a sickness.
Of course. Fight Club.
Fight Club.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Fight Club would have been my if we were to do a quintessential Fight Club would have been mine.
So my list real quick because I got it right here. It's What's Eating Gilbert Grape.
Yeah.
Oh, so good.
Inside Out, the animated Disney one.
Oh yeah, I totally thought Melinda was going to do that one.
Silver Linings Playbook with Bradley Cooper and Jennifer
Excellent. Yeah.
Obviously, Girl Interrupted, right?
Mm-hmm.
Little Miss Sunshine.
Excellent.
A Beautiful Mind. Fight Club.
Mm-hmm.
The Aviator. Black Swan. Those are Donnie Darko. Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. And I had this like, okay, so Robin Williams did Patch Adams, Awakenings, 1 Hour Photo, What Dreams May Come. All of these.
I was wondering whether or not What Dreams May Come. I struggled with whether or not I put that one on the list.
Suicide is a mental health awareness thing. And
I was there with it.
And the way he was hung up on the true love of his wife, like he becomes then, the grief is a mental
Sure.
a mental health thing that people don't realize how much that changes your brain chemistry.
Well, it's part of depression.
And to close it out, James Gunn's Super with Rainn Wilson.
Oh,
and
that's
Elliot
a good
Page
one.
When
Yeah.
I won't use his dead name. But
Yeah.
I have a lot of the same ones that you have.
There's also
I'm not
Kevin
gonna-
Bacon, who basically played the same character as Ray Liotta in
Yeah.
Observe and Report.
Kevin Bacon.
He's so good in Super if you haven't seen it.
Okay.
You all set, Joe?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay. I hate dead air, but then when you stop talking, then I open my mouth and you start going again. I just don't want to step over you. So you listed a lot of the ones that I had, so I don't have a lot to mention. But I'm going to kind of blew past with, of course, Girl Interrupted. But that was one that I struggled with putting on here because I don't think that's an of course. I think it's been so long. That was for our generation.
Sure. Okay.
It was definitely one talked
That's
about
fair.
a lot, but I don't think that one's talked about a lot now. And that is a
makes
superb movie.
It really was good.
So I want to second The Girl Interrupted. Check that movie out with
Angelina
Jolie,
Winona
Ryder, and Brittany Murphy,
Jared Leto.
Jared Leto. Oh my
Jared
God.
Leto before his band, so before the ego
Before
took
he was
over.
bonkers. Well, I think he was
always bonkers, but
But a couple that slipped by.
there was
Let's
definitely
see.
a point his ego took over his
The one that I was
career.
struggling with, whether or not I did Observe and Report or this, was Me, Myself, and Irene.
Oh,
that movie
nice.
is so funny.
Yeah.
It's probably one of the few
Didn't
movies
even
that when I
register.
saw it in theaters, I was like physically moved by how funny it is. But it's about a movie it's a guy who has split personality.
Farley
He doesn't-
Brothers, right?
Yes. And the reason I wanted to bring them up is because I wanted to mention, and one of the actors that they utilized just died either today or yesterday. But they always used somebody in their films who is afflicted with some sort of difference. I don't want to say it's not always a mental illness, but he is hired.
Yeah.
They have hired Down syndrome. The guy that passed, I don't know what he suffered from, but he walked on all fours. He was the guy. But he was 70 years old. He died. But they always incorporate, and they don't utilize it as like, hey, we have a guy they incorporate him in as like, these are part of our society.
Yeah.
And, so that's always rocked with me. But The Machinist with Christian Bale.
Yes.
Oh my God, yes.
The Number 23 with
Jim Carrey.
Carrey.
Again. Yep.
What About Bob?
Oh, dude, one of my favorites.
Right?
Number 23 is one of my favorites too. I can't.
Wow.
What About Bob is Bill Murray and Richard Dreyfuss. Richard Dreyfuss plays. I went with K-Pax instead.
Yeah.
It plays a therapist.
Baby
and,
steps get on
Yep.
a bus.
Yep,
Baby steps get on a bus.
And then
Gil, he needs fresh air.
the last one I
fish.
have here is A Clockwork Orange.
Oh, so good.
so
Anthony
good.
McDowell,
Yeah.
and
Yep.
Kubrick.
It's interesting to think about how many
There's so
films
many,
really
yeah.
revolve around some sort of mental illness.
That's where I got. I was like, well, these are favorites of mine. Like, let me really dive into what I've seen that maybe people haven't heard of. I was hoping to find
or
more of
that isn't like explicitly about mental illness.
Right.
Yeah.
So next week we're going to watch Matchstick Men. It's on rental video on demand. I didn't see it anywhere for streaming subscriptions, but that's what we're going to watch. But it is available, so that's what we're going to talk about. So Melinda, thank you so much. Before we take off, this is your opportunity to promote yourself. Do you have anything that you would like to introduce our listeners to that is a work of yours?
Sure, absolutely.
And then how can they get a hold of you?
Absolutely. As a writer, I have a book series out that I wrote with Daniel Crago, aka Monique Madison, drag personality from Michigan and kind of known all over the nation now. It's called Serial Showgirl. We have book 1, 2, and 3. It's
Amazing.
about Yep. Thank you. It's a super fun, quick reads. But it's about a young drag queen who's living in Chicago, and his best friend is taken unexpectedly and violently, and he sets out to avenge her death. And then that goes into book 1, book 2, and then book 3 is kind of a prequel.
Sweet vengeance.
Yeah, exactly. So it becomes kind of a vigilante drag queen persona. So that's my book series. You can get it on Amazon.
And it's serial like serial killer.
Yes. SERIAL Showgirl. So that's that. And then I have I show ran and wrote with a writer's team a comedy series called The Agency, which Brad and Joseph are both in and on the crew and on in actors.
That was so much fun.
Yeah, so much fun. So that's coming out on Tubi August 1st.
Yep, August 1st.
So
The
watch
Agency.
it. The Agency, 8 episodes on Tubi. There's that. And then I'm producing my first film right now going in called Delirium. And there's definitely aspects of mental illness in that film. It's a psychological horror, and we're shooting that in September. So that's on.
And she's doing that with show alumnus Matt Santia.
Yep, absolutely.
And her business partner. So when you guys do come up with that, we'll have to have you back on the show.
We can
talk about the whole process.
Once
it's released.
Absolutely.
On the marketing journey.
Yeah, absolutely.
You stop here before you go to Jimmy Kimmel.
And then, is there any social connection that you want to make with the audience?
So you can find me on Facebook at Melinda Doan, Doan, Bryce, B as in boy, RYCE. That's Facebook. You can find me on Instagram at Melinda_Bryce. And on Lithium Films on Instagram, Lithium Films on Facebook. I am on TikTok. My TikTok is amused_writer. Not on there super much, but I am on there. And those are the easiest ways to get me. You can email me, melindakbryce@gmail.com if you really want to.
Yeah, fair enough. I'm going to second that promotion for The Agency. The Agency is a sitcom office. It's like a workplace sitcom surrounding around a Detroit talent agency. And it stars a lot of superior local talent around here. And I had the opportunity to edit for the episode. So I'm very excited about that. Joe is one of the main cast members. I'm a bit of a
I think I'm still auxiliary. I'm like secondary.
Okay.
Yes, everybody's
your face
important.
on there. Your face on there. I mean, it's an ensemble cast.
Yeah.
So,
Let
but
me
yes.
put it this way. I was definitely a smaller character than when implementing my character because I had so many ideas.
Well, that was
I
the
was
beauty
running
of
by
it.
Melinda and she'd be like, do it. We'll see if it
just do
works.
it.
So, load that up August 1st on Tubi and let us know what your thoughts are on that. And then, Joe, how can people find you?
The usual, chaotic_artisan on Instagram or hashtag UFPod, Unorthodox Film Podcast. That's kind of stuff. But I'm going to triple down, I guess, on The Agency and just say that it was such a pleasure. And it's like, think the Detroiters, meets kind of Parks and Rec kind of thing. But yeah, it's a fun little industry type, like we're making fun of ourselves a lot. It's a lot of fun.
And don't forget, shout out to Neil T. and Emery Reeves, the creators and producers.
Oh, yeah. And Tennille's also an alumni.
Yep.
She's been on the
Emery
show.
has not been on yet. We'll have to get on him.
We should.
You can find me. I'm still locked out of my damn Instagram, and I'm having the hardest time getting this shit back. They email me. It's fucking frustrating.
So you can get a hold of him at the podcast.
So you can get a hold of me at ufostudio.detroit on Instagram. You can email the show at ufostudio.detroit@gmail.com. So thank you everybody for listening, and join us next time.
Yeah.
Yeah.